So let's go into this Tom Brady case study, right? One of the first things you got to understand about Tom Brady based on this case study is Tom is focused on what needs to be done to be successful. And this is going to be a lot of challenge for a lot of people, right? A players are focused on what needs to be done for them to hit their success metrics. They're not focused on anything else. Many people don't understand the work schedule of somebody that's actually an A player and what they do. So we're using Tom Brady as a case study, but look at somebody in any professional area that's considered an A player at what they do. What is their work schedule? Then the question is, can you deal with that work schedule? Because Tom Brady has been doing this work schedule for a very, very long time. And many people will struggle to deal with that, but they say, I want to be around A players because I want to get the benefit of being around one, but don't understand what comes with being around somebody that's really driven to be the best at what they do in their respective area. And so here's a really quick interview from a guy named Taylor Hinkie, and he talks about his experience with Tom Brady when he went to the Patriots as a practice staff or a practice quarterback.
So the first day, I told myself I'm going to be the first one in the facility. Like, I want to make a good impression. So I get to the facility at like 5:30 in the morning, and I go straight to the quarterback room to start studying the playbook. And I walk in, and Tom Brady's already in there with his feet up, coffee in hand, watching film. I'm like, oh my God. So, Tom's probably seen hundreds of quarterbacks come in and out of that, that program. So he turns around, he looks at me in a very confused look. Like, he's like, who are you? And I was like, Tom, my name's Taylor Hinkie. I'm the new practice squad quarterback. We shook hands. He's like, take a seat. Let's watch some film. So I just remember sitting in front of him, started watching film with him at 5:30 in the morning. It was a pretty cool experience. He was just, started asking me questions, where you from, stuff like that. And I'm like, after the fact, I was like, I really just had a, full-on conversation with the GOAT at 5:30 in the morning watching film on my first day at New England. It was a really cool experience.
Can you deal with that kind of psychology? Because that person may come across as abnormal. They may not come across as normal. And like I said, that's not words. That's not somebody ranting and raving on YouTube. That's not somebody yelling on their phone. That's not somebody sitting in a panel of women and trying to talk like they're the alpha guy. What Brady has done is on the record books. It's been documented. It's not he say, she say. Brady don't have a fan base of people that just repost their football highlights and make it seem like it's not there. He's actually done this in the real world, right? He actually had a guy tackle him and blow his knee out, and he had to come back from that. Like, this is real life stuff. He actually got beat by the Giants in 2 Super Bowls and came back and got some more Super Bowls. Like, this is real life stuff. This happened in the real world. You understand me? It's a different dynamic than in the social media era, where if I'm just sometimes the loudest, or I can get the most attention, or I can be the most controversial, that means I win. Controversy don't win football games. You got to actually go out and win the game. And I want people to really understand that you're dealing with a different dynamic when you're dealing with a person that's considered the best to ever play their position. And if you say, well, you want to be around an A player, do you really want to be around somebody that's considered the best to ever do what they've done professionally? Do you think you can manage that kind of psychology? Because what do you think motivates that person? Do you think it's being around you? You want to kind of ask yourself those questions, right? So you got to understand what motivates people that's trying to accomplish at a high level. So let me give an example. The Bucs can't run the ball. Now, this is going to go into some football. It's going to go over a lot of people's head that don't really understand the game of football. But I'm going to try to break this down in a way in which you can understand this from a problem-solving standpoint and from a value-add standpoint. Okay, the Bucs can't run the ball, right? Bucs, I want to say 2 weeks ago, was the worst team in the NFL running the football. 2 weeks ago. That's one of their biggest issues. As a result, I don't think the Bucs win a Super Bowl, because I don't see how you win a Super Bowl if you can't run the ball. The Bucs can't run the ball. Okay, cool. So you are going to be brought in, right, to solve this problem. You're going to sit down with Todd Bowles, head coach. Sit down with Leftwich, that's the offensive coordinator, and you're going to sit down with Tom Brady, that's the quarterback. And you start talking about the problem. You can't run the ball. This is wrong, yada, yada, yada. Okay, if that's all you bring to the table, you don't need to be here. Because we already know what the problem is. We can't run the ball. We don't need you to pontificate about the problem. We don't need you to do a 12-hour live stream about the Bucks can't run in the ball. We're very aware that we can't move the football on the ground. We're aware of that. We got the numbers, everything. Okay? You didn't come with, well, here's what you need to do. But it's just verbal. They say, okay, cool. You've explained what we need to do. Create a plan for us to execute on what you say we need to do. But you don't have the ability to do that. So you can talk about the problem. You can talk about what they need to do. But when we tell you, put a plan together that's going to allow us to execute on what you talked about, that's when you fall short. So you know what? We still don't need you. Because you can't help us get to where we're trying to go, which is what? Get back to that Super Bowl. Because you're dealing with A players, right? You're dealing with A players. You're going to sit in a room with Todd Bowles, who's a hell of a defensive coordinator. Not a fan of him as a head coach, but I love him as a defensive coordinator. You're dealing with Leftwich, who's a really good offensive coordinator. And you're dealing with Tom Brady, who's considered the best quarterback of all time. And low key, he might be top 10 best NFL player of all time. Right? When this is over, we might have to put him up there with LT. We might have to put him up there with Jim Brown. We might have to put him up there with Walter Payton. He might be top 10 all-time NFL player. He already the best quarterback of all time. You're going to sit in a room with them. And you know the goal is to win the Super Bowl. And what you add to the situation is I can talk about the problem and then I can talk about a solution, but I cannot create a plan to go implement the solution. Right? And then you understand why you can't help out A players. Because you don't understand first, what do they want? What are they trying to get out of the world? And how you help them get there.